folk, you know? Now, another community-first developer that we have here is Clint Oldenburg. He works on the gameplay team, and we're going to invite him in to talk about the newest title update. Remember, this update goes live at 1 p.m. Eastern. Clint, you're a lot taller than I remember. Gibb's going to have to come over here and tilt the camera up to the ceiling. Now, Clint, before I started working, I would tweet at him, you know, pretty aggressively. Then I got here and I realized he's pretty tall. For the record, Clint, I am 6'3". Because right now I probably look like 5'6".
No, you look all of 6'3".
So I'm 6'3". You're taller than that, clearly, but you're also wearing high heels. You're wearing shoes that are making you appear taller, so that's pretty good.
For size comparisons.
Okay, yeah. Let's get Israel out here. So.
Nope. You're there. Okay. I am really short. I'm leaving. I'm out.
Gibbs always does this. He moves closer to the camera so that he always looks taller. But I'll let you give a little spiel about where folks can find you and what exactly you do here at the gameplay team.
All right, thanks. So my name is Clint Oldenburg. I'm the gameplay creative lead here. Most of you guys already know, but you can find me on Twitter at Clint Oldenburg. I try to respond to as many of you guys as I can. I don't always have the time to get to everybody, but I do read everything. Just want to make sure this title update, like Kralo said, is going live today at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. It is not live yet. Be aware of that. And also want to throw out there, usually our title updates are about 2 weeks in advance. So this one that's going live today has been locked for 2 weeks and going through the testing grinder. So anything that you may have sent me very recently is not going to be included in this title update, but look for those improvements to come in the next few title updates that we still have scheduled.
And so Clint specifically today will speak to the gameplay portion of the title updates. However, I just want to make it known that there are many other updates in this title update. It's quite a vast list. So there are a lot of updates to franchise mode, and we'll get a future developer down to speak to franchise mode, but lots of good stuff in franchise mode. There's some visual updates. As we saw Alvin Kamara already, but other players got some updates like a Jair Alexander, Peyton Barber, Denzel Ward, and other folks. We also added some new helmets there, 6 new Shut F7 face masks, but then the Zenith Epic Helmet Shell. We can have Dustin talk to that when he comes down and does his ratings update on Friday. But specifically for gameplay tuning, we're just going to run through a few of the changes and updates that went in today. And we'll do that. So the first one I would speak to is tuning to allow quarterbacks a chance to fumble when tackled with a hit stick, even when holding down the cover ball mechanic on R2, R trigger. This applies to competitive and simulation game styles.
Yeah, that's a good place to start. So this is a piece of feedback we've received from the community for quite a while, and we finally felt comfortable enough letting that go out in the wild. So what you're going to see now, quarterbacks, even when using the cover ball mechanic on R1 or right bumper, they are going to be having their standard chance to fumble if they get hit with a hit stick. So essentially, when they get hit with a hit stick while holding cover ball, their chance to fumble is going to be the same as if they were tackled normally while not holding the cover ball mechanic. This applies to both competitive and simulation game styles. We first had it only on competitive, but then once we vetted through the franchise team, they said that they liked the sounds of that, and the simulation crowd would also be interested in that change. So that's one of the many tuning changes going in for this one.
That one's going to hurt me because I'm guilty of just running into traffic with RB held. But you know what? I adapt because I'm a chameleon. Another one here, and it's got a nice dev note on it, so I'll let you speak to that. Tuning to decrease disengage angles for defenders in the run game.
Another good one. So one thing I want to be sure to clarify for everyone who's watching right now, disengages are different than block sheds. A lot of times people will send me videos and say, why are they block shedding? And what I'm seeing is disengages. And what a disengage is a defender moving away from the blocker, not trying to shed through the blocker. So that's a little bit different, and that's determined by the strength rating of the blocker and the defender in the interaction. So basically what this does is it just tightens up the angle a little bit for the defenders, roughly around 10 to 20% globally. The base angle of disengage is going to be tightened up so that they don't have quite the range to get away from the blocker. This is going to open up a few more gaps in the run game and allow you to get through the line of scrimmage maybe by another yard or two before they start to do their disengage away from the blocker. And the reason that we are making this decision is our metrics right now are showing that the run yardage across the game is lower than our intended target. And so the goal of this change is to get the run yardage up a little higher in terms of yards per carry.
So if you have not been pounding the rock, it might be time to go back to it a little bit. And one more thing in relation to the run game, we've got a note here. Tuning to improve the running animation used when a ball carrier makes slight direction changes while holding acceleration burst mechanics. So acceleration bursts are trigger. A little bit about that.
Yeah, this is another one that we get some feedback on from our players. And coming in this year with the new real player motion technology, there's a big difference between holding the acceleration burst and not holding it in terms of how you run and move. And what we were noticing, the same thing you guys were noticing, is when you were holding acceleration burst and trying to make slight direction changes, it would appear as if your player were starting to jog rather than still sprinting. So we've done some tuning to that animation, and that when you go into that slight direction change while holding acceleration burst, he is going to look like he's actively running harder. He's going to get his feet down in the ground quicker. His cadence is going to be faster. So it's going to reflect the look that he is trying to run faster.
Very nice. And just a pro tip from a guy who's definitely not a pro. Upstairs, guys like Mole, who's the in-house champion. He's good. He runs the ball. He does not hold acceleration burst really till he gets to the open field, and he's really good with the left stick. And it's a change. It's different, but seeing those guys run the ball in that way, you gotta not hold the R trigger till you're ready. It's like you're ready to go. But it's really tough to not do it. This is a quick one. We'll cover. It's the fair catch calls on kick return. So we got some. Making sure we're lined up with the NFL rules on that one and making sure players catch that ball.
Yeah, two pieces here real quick. So we added logic to prevent extremely late fair catch kick calls, and there's two reasons why. Number one, there is a rule in football that you have to give the kickoff team or the kicking team enough time to notice your fair catch so that they don't hit you during a fair catch. And secondly, if you called a fair catch extremely late in our game, that could lead to problems with the catch animation because, you know, his hand's up trying to fair catch it. We're also trying to match a catch. Sometimes that could result in a muffed punt return. So we have created a window. You have to call for your fair catch before the lock icon appears. You're going to see the player lock icon, very similar to what you see under receivers on passing plays. When that lock icon shows up in your player indicator with your punt returner, you can no longer call a fair catch. So be aware of that.
All right, pretty neat. We're scrolling through a lot of the notes here. Anything you want to cover on pass coverage? Should we save that for A-Dub in a future update? Is there anything specifically there?
I have notes.
Cool.
A-Dub gave me notes. We can cover that right here.
Let's do it. All right, cover 3, curl flat. Hit us.
All right, so you guys may have noticed the notes for the last 2 title updates. We're talking about fake screen wheel. And in the last title update, it said we put in half the fix to make sure we were leveraging the deep route of that concept. We finished that fix off in this title update, so the cover 3 curl flat is now going to properly leverage both the flat route and the deep route on fake screen wheel. So that's a follow-up from the previous title update. The next one is cover 3 hook curl. We have the backside hook curl is now going to pick up deep crossing routes. But what's really important to remember here is you got to be aware of the ratings matchup. If you're trying to leverage that deep crossing route out of that PA boot play, PA crosser play,
I know it well.
you're going to want to sub in a safety or a cornerback into that position. If you have a linebacker trying to match that route, he will probably still get beat over the top unless he's extremely fast. Someone like Anthony Barr may be able to cover it, but I would recommend getting a safety into that sub package for that backside hook curl. Next is cover 4 quarters and palms. We updated some logic for what we call facing direction. Basically what this is going to do is improve the match coverage on cover 4 quarters and palms when they transition from zone to man against a player with a similar speed rating. They're going to cover that more effectively. And then lastly, we added some additional box logic for cover 4 to defend bunch. And what this is going to do is allow the backside safety to help over to the trip side and find work over on the backside.
I just want to say those are 3 really large fixes. A lot of players use that fake screen wheel. Obviously, it got a little less effective, but now, with the correct defense, not going to quite be there. NFL teams been using that pretty nicely over the weekend. You'll have that. the crossers. I mean, a lot of people run PA crossers, but like Clint said, make sure you're matching up the right players on that route. If you can't match Tyreek Hill, Anthony Barr had a rough go on Thursday with guys like Jared Goff throwing well, but he's obviously tall and can run with those guys. So make sure you're getting those right players in the game. And then, as Clint said, bunch. A lot of people run bunch. It's very effective. It's effective in the league. It's effective for guys that can make adjustments out of it, but getting an extra defender who can find some areas will be very nice. We have some pre-play. We have some RPM. Anything else you'd like to hit on here?
Let's quickly talk about this online exploit.
All right, let's do it.
So I know that not everyone watching has probably seen this, and most likely the majority of people have never come across it. But for those of you that have, and I know there's some of you are out there because you've tweeted me this, we did address a very rare online exploit being used with custom playbooks, where the user on offense could make their team run off the field and force you to have to take a quit loss because basically your defense would just stand around the ball for the rest of the time until you paused out. Unbelievably, this has been in the game. Unbelievably, this has been in the game for a few years, and we finally found the culprit. So we have addressed that, and what I want you to know is the offense will no longer run off the field. However, because of our time constraints, the fix wasn't the most ideal fix. So what the offensive line is going to do now when you try to run this exploit is they're going to run up to the ball and huddle around the ball and most likely cause either a penalty or a tackle for loss. And this will allow the game to continue past that point. You will no longer have to quit out to take the loss. For future iterations of the game, we're going to make sure that all those plays are working correctly so that we don't have to deal with this any longer. But that exploit, both the one using the Giants' comeback route and the field goal from a long distance, making the offense run off the field, will be addressed in this title update.
Which is available at 1 p.m. today, a little after the normal 10 a.m., but we want to keep you guys on your toes and get you these notes, which I know you've seen. There's a lot of notes in here. We're just going over a few of the gameplay ones, but make sure you jump in. If you missed Kralo chat about some of the Ultimate Team changes, I talked a little bit about some likeness updates, and I talked a little bit about franchise mode, but there is a ton of stuff here in these notes, and we've got a few more gameplay things Clint wants to talk about right here.
Yeah, three more real quick. We did some work on what is known as the manual rush or the spy rush that some of our competitive players are coming across. So we improved some logic for those pass rush exploits. And again, that's going to be another two-part fix. So the first part's coming live today at 1. You're going to notice a guy placed in any assignment besides a pass rush assignment is not going to be able to move as quickly through the line of scrimmage. We do have some blocking improvements there, but there's going to be more blocking improvements in future title updates. Secondly, we addressed an exploit around field goal blocks, and simply you're not going to be able to move your field goal block team around anymore. So if you want to block a kick, you're going to have to go through the normal mechanics of jumping the snap properly and then getting through to block the kick. That was one I got a lot of feedback on Twitter, so I'm glad that we knocked that one out. And then lastly, we fixed an issue preventing illegal block and the back penalties from triggering in simulation game style. So I know a lot of you franchise gamers out there had hit me up about this one, and we were able to find an issue there. So you should see more penalties in simulation.
I love that sim gamers get happy about more penalties. It's one of my joys in life that so many players can play Madden and find so much joy from less penalties for competitive guys, a little more penalties for simulation guys, and that you guys have all the game modes and styles where you can kind of separate that out.
If it's in the game.
If it's in the game, you know the rest. So those are just a few of the fixes going into the title update today. I want to give a big shout out to Clint for coming down. If you have feedback on this title update or previous title updates, remember, you can utilize the forum. So I know we post a blog that has all the updates, but there's also a forum where we post the same blog, and then it's open for comments underneath. So that's where we spend a lot of time going through. Israel's in there. Kralo's in there. We run through all those. When you share stuff on Twitter with Clint, of course, he can see much of it, but it's really tough to see everything. Videos always help, like video evidence, so you know exactly what's going on. I think a big clarification one for me today was when you talked about the block shedding. So what's the difference between a block shed and a disengage? You talked about that. Like, you can say, my guys are block shedding, or they're not block shedding, or is it ratings, or is it this or is that? But then when you actually see it, it's like, oh, no, that's not a block shed, that's this. And that gives you a lot more, what tools you have to go in and kind of change and adapt.
Yeah, some of you guys get annoyed because I'm always asking for videos, but it really does give us a head start to locate the specific issue that you're trying to tell us and give us a place to start looking. So the videos are very helpful. Also want to reiterate the importance of that forum. Once the title update goes live today at 1, we will have that forum live. You can go in there, give us feedback on this title update. And there are plenty of folks looking at that information, so make sure that you go in and do that. You're going to be far more likely to get someone to see your info in the forum than if you just post on my Twitter account. I get 500, 600, 700 mentions per day.
Humble brag.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
It's a humble brag. I like it.
So sometimes I do miss what you're sending me, but if you also post it in that forum, you can be sure that it's going to be seen by somebody here. So I want to make sure to pass that along.
I don't get 500 mentions a day, nor can I fix anything related to gameplay except pass it. But if you guys want to tweet me too, and I'm around. I'm around. Hey, if you want somebody to read your stuff, man, I'm around.
You could tweet Kralo.
Kralo's fantastic. He loves it. Yeah, EA_Kralo loves it. The guy, he loves it. He couldn't be happier. But
a number of ways to reach us, for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Clint, thank you very much. And reminder, all these notes, if you haven't seen them, they'll be live at 1 p.m. today when you go in and download. Do you know how large the update is?
How large?
Or small?
I do not have that information. I'm sorry.
Could be a gigabyte. Could be less. Could be more. Probably not more than. It's probably not a terabyte. No, I'm just kidding. I have no idea of sizes of things, but we will find that information out and share that. We'll let Clint go. I'm going to stay on and show you some Ultimate Team items. Shout out to Clint Oldenburg. Shout out to the development team. Shout out to our community manager, Kralo, for coming on down today.